And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. Wednesday, July 30th, 2025. Hope you're having a good day. Tomorrow I'm heading for up to see the dad. And then I'm going to SummerSlam on Saturday. Going to decide whether I'm going to do it on Sunday also. There's 2 days of wrestling. But we have lots to cover. And ladies and gentlemen, as you know, we pull no punches. We curry no favor. We don't care about R or D that continue to interfere and interlope in our lives, including this one. And those of you who love him because supposedly he's this Republican conservative, well, we're finding out he is an interventionist, a protectionist, and in some cases Biden-like. But we root for him every day, that his decisions are correct. And as you know, we love what he's done on the border. We love what he's doing for Jewish students. We love him ripping the stuffings out of the media that is so damn corrupt. There's a lot of things we love about the guy. But there are a few things we're going to cover today. But mostly we're going to cover the markets. And they were wicked, they were wild, because it was Fed Day. Now, let me give you the final numbers on Fed Day. The Dow was down 171, the S&P down 8, NASDAQ was up 31, NASDAQ 100 up 37. But at the get-go on the Fed, the Dow was down 300 and change. Well, let me give you the numbers to make it easy on you on what the Fed does. And that's why we always say never blink on Fed Day. So at 2 p.m., the Dow was at, well, I take it back. Initially, the market rallied off the Fed. Initially. In fact, the market went from, let's call it 44,623 to 44,739, but was still down about 100. And within about 20 minutes, we were down to 44,340. If I got this right, we're down over 400 points. But finished only down 171. Did we really get down that far? 44,261 was the low. My bad. We were down 371 at the lows. 371 at the lows. But finished only 171. The NASDAQ hit 21,230 and was up 131 points. Then it went to 21,016. So it was actually down 70, but finished up 31. So nice little finish at the end of the day. Now, I never watch the Fed press conferences because they are a comedy act. Just remember, they don't know what they're doing. All they are is a bunch of easy money mutts that have missed every big move and caused every big problem. But to his credit, Jay Powell hasn't done much lately, and we like that. So they didn't move today, in spite of the president jawboning and threatening his arse to fire him, which now they say they're not going to. And that was that for the day. A lot of jello moving on the plate. And also a lot of big earnings reports to report when all is said and done. We'll have for you in a minute Microsoft and Facebook. And I do believe both are up nicely in the aftermarket. And I got to tell you something. Microsoft, a big frickin' wow. Facebook, A big frickin' wow. Both on earnings. Very nice. Very nice. We'll get to that in a little bit. Microsoft up 6% in the aftermarket. That is fantastic for this type of a company. Wow. Meta's up too. We'll get to that. But let's finish up with the Fed, because now I got to take on the president, because he doesn't know what he's doing either. He's been calling for Jay Powell to lower interest rates to 1% when the free market, real yields, the 10-year is 4.36, the 30-year is 4.9. If Jay Powell went to 1% today, I think the 10-year would have skyrocketed, causing all kinds of hell in the mortgage markets and the like. The president is like every other president, wants the easiest money possible, because polls go up when the markets go up. That's how it works. But he's 100% wrong, and I would tell it to the president's face. He's 100% wrong on wanting to go that low. What Jay Powell could do is lower it a half point and kind of sort of be in line. That's what I do. Wouldn't go further than that. And that's it. Now, what are we talking about here? Well, Jay Powell's the Fed funds rates, that's short-term rates, money markets, a few other things. What's the president not understanding is that Jay Powell doesn't control the 10-year, which is your mortgages and so many other loans, and more important than anything else. Much more important than anything else. And if the market, the free market, deems that they're not worried about inflation anymore, they may sell off bonds and the 10-year goes higher, and there goes mortgages. You're screwed. And just so you know, we have gotten this right for years. And when we tell you Powell doesn't know what he's doing, we mean that. When we tell you the president's wrong, we mean that also. Doesn't make him bad. The president should want to have the lowest interest rates possible and the easiest money. It makes life easier for them come the next election. So we're past that. Who the hell knows what's next? We'll see. But let's report some news besides what the market did today. And by the way, nice comeback at the end of the day. But more importantly, you got some big earnings after the close. Well, let's play this first. Tesla gap down, Netflix gap down, Spotify gap down. Some important names. Google was nondescript, right? You ready? I got Microsoft closing at $513. Now remember, this is a company that has a $3.8 trillion market cap. It's up 6% in the aftermarket, $32. And I believe, I don't have I'll look at in a second at the number, what percentage it is of the S&P and the NASDAQ 100, but I think it's pretty decently sized. So that's a big move for Microsoft. And let me just state for the record, they came in and reported, let me get this right, 365 versus 338 expected, 76.4 billion with 73.8 expected. So 365 versus 295 is 70. That's about a 22% earnings growth gain, which is a little acceleration. On the sales front, what did they do? 76.4 versus 64. That's about 17-18%. That's an acceleration, and the market's going to love that, especially on a very important big institutional name, which takes me to Meta, which closed at $694. 757, up 9% in the aftermarket to a new high. Nice. And Meta's been waning as of recent. $7.14 versus estimate of $5.88. 714 versus 516. Last I looked at is about a 40% earnings growth, which is a little acceleration. And by the way, that's a sandbag. Their earnings was a sandbag, just letting you know they learned from Apple. Up next, we'll do the rest of Meta. Much more. This is the one only Investor's Edge. And on Meta, 20% sales growth. So a little acceleration in both, and leave no doubt, Mark Zuckerberg has learned the Apple. Apple has been the greatest sandbagging company of all time, always in the past, given out guidance that was ridiculously low. And of course, the analysts kissed their you-know-whats, so they went along with it knowing they were sandbagging, and then they beat big. That estimate on Meta was a joke. The estimate was for be a massive deceleration of earnings. Well, that didn't happen. So I can tell you flat out, in the aftermarket, the QQQ, which closed at 568, I got it at 572. Nice little 0.8% move. The SPY up about 0.5%, by the way, on two names. And by the way, I mean that. They make up that much. NASDAQ 100 makeup, I haven't done it in a couple of weeks, so I'm going to do it now. You ready for this? Microsoft is 13% of the NASDAQ 100, and 6% is Meta. By the way, NVIDIA is 14%. Wow. S&P 500 makeup, you ready for this one? Microsoft is 7%. Meta's 3.3, so 10%, two names. That's why it helps the main indices. And that's why, by the way, that's all I've been in is the big indices. I haven't touched the small and mid caps. And then again, last year I did a couple of times on the small caps. I stopped out twice. So very good mega cap aftermarket move in two very important names, and should carry some weight with other things. We'll see how the night goes, but those are two Bafo numbers. I will tell you, Meta is going to be a breakaway gap tomorrow, depending where it opens, and boy, am I going to be watching that closely for entry. Even if I would have owned it going into this week, I would have been selling the last couple of days. Microsoft, though, that one's extended. Don't have an answer for you on that. Also, in the aftermarket, while I got you, Lam Research is up $3. That's not unimportant. Qualcomm, Qualcomm's down $10. Ouch. How about Robinhood is up $2. Ford, which looks like the south end of a northbound mule, is down. Let's see if Carvana reported. Carvana, I got to make sure of it before I even tell you, I think is up a bunch. Carvana closed at 333. It's 380. Dang. eBay reported. Let me make sure. That can't be right. How about eBay again? eBay's up $5. So Bafo aftermarket report, except for Qualcomm. ARM Holdings, can't tell. Down $7. So Qualcomm and ARM are down, but a bunch of things are up and pretty damn good. Wow. Wow, into tomorrow. Western Digital also up $4. And of course, in sympathy, NVIDIA's up about $1.50 in the aftermarket. Broadcom's up. The SMH is up, if I can find that. That'll be up a little bit. So we're going to have a good Thursday morning on some of these mega caps, ladies and gentlemen. Simple as that. On a wicked and wild day with Jay Powell and the president. Also today, we told you we thought the dollar was bottoming, which could affect commodities. I will tell you, copper crashed today. No, really. CPAR went from 36 down to 28 and change. It's a crash. Platinum dropped 7%. Gold got hit hard. Silver got hit hard. I didn't look at the rest. And of course, let's see, Freeport McMoran copper, boom, good night. How about Southern Copper, down 6%. The XME, which is metals and mining, down 2%. Rough day, and it's going to be rough for commodities if the dollars get stronger. And let me tell you what else will be rough. It'll also be rough for multinationals. As we explained to you yesterday, that's going to matter also. But ladies and gentlemen, Microsoft Meta, that's big stuff. Those are big moves for mega caps. Big moves. Next up will be Apple and Amazon tomorrow after the close. And I moved my flight a little bit later tomorrow night up to the Northeast, so we'll be doing the show tomorrow. And yeah, Apple, Amazon, Coinbase is tomorrow. KLAC is tomorrow. And there you have it. How's that for reporting? What else was strong today before the close? AI stocks. The energy thing, CEG, VST, other AI names like CRDO or ALAB. And that's the story. It'll be a good morning. We're loaded with the Qs and the X. By the way, the XLK will be happy tomorrow also. And that is what I got for you on this day. Now, other things going on today, ladies and gentlemen. Tariff mania was at it again, hearing different stories on what they're doing. I think the president's got to be careful. Today, there's a 50% tariff on Brazil, threatening Brazil, right? Oh, he's exempting orange juice, iron ore, and coal. You know what we get the most from Brazil? From what I read? Orange juice, iron ore, and coal. You catching my drift? It's like another pause. I don't know what the game is or whatever. I'm just happy for tariffs much lower and pauses. Because 50% on Brazil is not good news. By the way, August tariffs, August 1st, still, that are out there. 40% Myanmar and Laos. 36% Thailand, Cambodia. 35% Canada and Serbia. 30%, you ready? Algeria, Iraq, Libya, Sri Lanka, South Africa, Algeria, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Mexico. Up next, we take on the media. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Thanks for being with us today. As you know, unfortunately, the media can really shape stories and lies. One of the big lies that has been going on as of late, and some pretty sane people believing it because the media reports, is what's happening in Gaza. They don't want to report that 50 hostages are still there. How long has that been now? They don't want to report that Hamas is murdering Palestinians who go against them. They don't want to report that Hamas is stealing aid and food. But you know what they do want to report? Famine. Have you noticed all the pictures? The adults are in great shape, but the babies are thin? But I want to harp upon some of the worst of the worst. The New York Times posted a picture of a baby with a woman, and it turns out the baby has, and the very thin, we find out that the New York Times knew that the baby had cerebral palsy, whatever it may be, had nothing to do with famine. The New York Times was found out. They posted the picture on its main Twitter account and the newspaper, 55 million followers. When they were found out, they posted it on their PR account with 89,000 followers. The New York Times hates you. They just want you to be a mark. They have op-eds against Israel every day. They have been calling on apartheid, even though Israel left Gaza in 2005. Occupation, even though they left in 2005. The most giving and loving, and I don't even use the word tolerating because they just don't care if you are black, white, Muslim, Arab. Everybody gets treated well in Israel, not reported. Gays for Hamas. They would be hung by their feet and stoned to death. In Israel, you looked as normal as anybody because they don't see race, creed, color, but the New York Times does. And boy, are they catching crap on this, but here's the problem. They don't care, and they're not accountable to anybody. But I'm not done. Because they did it to Trump today. Headline: U.S. economy slowed in first half of 2025 as tariff scrambled data. That was the headline. And then as you go into the report, that's not what it says. They're hoping you just see a headline. There was 3% GDP came out. The subheadline, things are slowing. Why would they do that? Because they hate Trump. They hate you that likes or loves Trump. You are the enemy. And it makes me nauseous. They say it's the paper of record. They're a suckfest of lies. They incite violence when they put out pictures of little kids that don't weigh a lot because they're ill, not because of famine. But they don't care. What do they care about? Repercussions. They don't. And the shame of it is there's some great reporting in the New York Times, great reporters. I am talking the op-eds and some of these political clowns. That's the shame. Do your own homework. Don't ever even believe me on anything we say. But know the agendas and the bias, and some of it is just plain old sickening, using sick babies to push a narrative that causes people to be attacked. I went to a bar mitzvah in New York City a month or so ago. They had to have 3 police officers out there because of needed security. Where does that come from? I say some of it from the New York Times. And there are others, of course. But this one stood out like a sore thumb. Lastly, have you seen this whole to-do with the American Eagle Outfitter ad where a young actress is talking about jeans and now they're saying it's Nazi propaganda? Have you seen that? Have you noticed that? I just want you to remember people and what they think and what they do and how they do it and what their agenda and bias is. A girl is running an ad on selling jeans and they're calling Nazi propaganda. Not kidding. They had somebody from a university today saying Nazi propaganda because they use the word jeans and white supremacy. Oh, it's a nut house, ladies and gentlemen, and that's how Donald Trump got elected. Remember, Donald Trump, 50% got elected because of Donald Trump, but 50% because of them. They're insane. I just want to let you know the young lady, Sydney Sweeney, I think her name is, was not wearing jackboots, did not have a swastika on the jeans, and did not do a Heil Hitler with her arm faced out. Just wanted to let you know. And I gather the happiest people are American Eagle Outfitters because they're getting a lot of press. And other people being laughed at. And that's all. Back on point. Microsoft, $37. Was just 42. It's just moving around. Microsoft closed at 513, 550 in the aftermarket. Meta, 695, 762 in the aftermarket, though Meta was 748 just a few weeks ago. 2 names that will lift a little bit of the boat tomorrow morning, notwithstanding conference calls or changes. Big indices will have a nice little open tomorrow, and we'll see what comes of Apple and Amazon. Apple has been weak as weak can be. And by the way, is down in the aftermarket. We'll see if they help tomorrow. And by the way, Apple and Amazon are huge to the indices themselves. Apple is 5.4% to the S&P and 10% to the NASDAQ 100. And there you have it. A lot of jello moving on the plate today. We've had a lot to say. Remember, no bias, no agenda, no ulterior motive. Logic, facts, protect capital, know what's working, know what's not. And the Mets are in first place. That's the good news. Up next, this, that, and the other thing, and whatever else. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. By the way, not that you care, I'm getting very cut. Just letting you know. I told you, I had the back spasms went away, everything in good shape now. I am back to getting cut. I love when the abs are sticking. We're getting there. Got a few more weeks. Just so you know how I do it. 15,000 steps a day. A bunch of them on the incline. Don't eat after 7 p.m. Cut out all the crap. Eat well. I don't drink alcohol. No sodas. No sugars, or not a lot. And of course, the 6 days a week, 15 to 20 sets of lifting. 15,000 steps. Do you know what today? Let's see what I got today already. Today, I've got 9,500 already. That's 4.34 miles already today. And I get it before the market opens. That says 22 floors also, 465 calories. Yesterday I did 14,830. When I was in London, I had a day where I did 32,000. Because I start walking out in London, I just go. And I pretty much don't stop. I have a little business in Italy. Yeah, right. In late October. I've never been to Sicily. So the Fishmans asked, and we said, hell yeah. And of course, I bring the 4 screens with me. Market opens at 3:30 p.m., closes at 10 in Sicily. We fly into London, flight to Sicily, fly back to London, fly home. That's how we roll. Anyway, that's all you got to do. And I throw a little boxing in here or there. Everybody has this idea it's really tough to be in shape. No, it isn't. Walking is tough. Get an incline trainer, put it on 5 to 15. If you can't, just leave it on regular and just go. Turn on the TV, watch your favorite shows. You know what most people do at night? They sit and watch. So what do? Replace with walk and watch. And wait till you see what happens in 90 days. A little inspiration for all you. I get asked all the time. Just letting you know. Other things. So we mentioned Microsoft, Meta, and other things working. We're just letting you know. We mentioned the commodities really getting hit now. We'd be careful. China, which was really trying to break out, very much commodity based. That's starting to give a little bit of way to the downside. I'd be wary of that. The transports today were down another, let me get the number, 487 after being down 350 yesterday. I'd be very wary. And part of that today was Avis Rent-A-Car, down $31 or 15% today. FedEx down $10 today. Boy, that's a bear market. You already know about UPS and their earnings. Union Pacific is buying Norfolk Southern, and both stocks went down. How about Old Dominion? That's a trucker, down $15 today. So you better be avoiding the airlines. We've already told you about insurance stocks to avoid. They got hit today. Auto dealers, they continue to get hit. A lot of the drugs and healthcare continue to be in bad shape, and we be wary of that area also. That managed carrier, but by the way, I do want to mention Humana was up $28 today to $261. That's a managed care stock, HMO. But a reminder, it was 5:30 in October of 23. It's 260 today. But good day today. So there's definitive areas and names that are what I would call on the troublesome side. So be aware that it ain't throw the dart time. And also in growth, I'm noticing that software security like Palo Alto Networks and CrowdStrike waning a bit here. Another software named ServiceNow just crumbles. So my ick list is picking up. In the Dow, IBM gap down, 3M breaking down. And by the way, that's dollar. Software name like Salesforce.com weak, while Microsoft very strong. By the way, Microsoft will help the Dow tomorrow. It's in the Dow. Procter & Gamble, not kidding, new yearly low on Procter & Gamble. Gold, as I said to you the other day, we bought it, sold it with a couple of days with a small loss. Oh, it's rolling over now. The dollar is strong or stronger. So stay in touch. We just brought another account in with 200 stocks in it. I found about 70 in downtrends. That shouldn't ever have to happen if you do a little work. Go get O'Neill's book, How to Make Money in Stocks. Go get Stan Weinstein's book, The Secret for Profiting in Bull and Bear Markets, and study. And if you're never in a bear market, you have such a big leg up. You just have to know how to define big uptrends and downtrends. It's work. Nobody's saying it isn't. That all said, have a great evening and drive carefully. And when you get home, do like we do, quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise they will be well. Thanks for joining. Until tomorrow. Good night.